Welcome to my first video on this channel. And what we're going to be doing on this channel is we're going to be exploring the price of the risk on asset Bitcoin. Now, I'm a beginner novice trader. I've gotten decently good and I have a pretty good track record as far as building an account from $150 to around $700. So that's where we stand now. And with markets being volatile and crazy, I figure it's a perfect time to start showing what I can help you guys with. Just doing what I can to try and prove to you guys that I can help and show you what I look at when I'm looking at the charts. So I have a couple indicators here: trend exhaustion and price versus whale money flow. Those things are pretty important to my trading strategy. My strategy overall is a bit different than what you see on this screen. It might be a kind of a beginner strategy in the eyes of a lot of people. So let me just go ahead and show you some of the charts that I have drawn. This one specifically, as you can see, this here didn't play out, and I actually did get trapped to the downside on this move down, and it really goes against my mentality for trading, the reason I got trapped. So that was a poor move on my playbook, and as you can see, what I had drawn originally seems to be the one playing out more. So I drew from this move down to this move as a pullback with a Fibonacci retracement. And as you can see, we came up, bounced off the top, came back down, retest the golden pocket. What I call this here is a shakeout. And one of my biggest influences is Trader's Reality. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of that, but he talks about the reality of like the market maker and where your head is, and not letting the market makers play you. Because all most people are is liquidity in the pool. And that's what we're trying not to be. So as you can see, a lot of people probably saw this formation. It's on the 4 hour. It's pretty big. It's pretty out there. And it can be drawn a lot of different ways. And there's some ways you could even draw it where that would have bounced perfectly off the bottom. If I had drawn it that way, maybe I wouldn't have been trapped. But I saw this breakout, waited to come up here, got in a short, and I got squeezed with everyone else. So, what's next? So we're looking at here, if we extend this trend line, which I like this one because it has a lot of touch points right over here, and it may not be perfect. Could probably bring it down a little bit. I like it because it's being ridden right here before it's broken down under, and we've been riding the bottom of it this whole entire time. So pretty much I do want it to touch there. That it's barely touching there. So as we could see, we did bounce off of this, and we also did hit the 2618 level on the Fibonacci. Now we broke out up from this little pullback that I have, so I can't really be looking at this. That's why I make it so small. I don't want to look at this much anymore because it's practically invalidated. So we can pull out fib retracement and go from the bottom of this move to the top of this move to see where we stand as far as the downside, because that is, in my opinion, that is still where the bias is, especially in this market. All markets alike. But I think people are still getting too excited, too bullish, too quickly, which I don't think we should. If everyone was in doubt and saying this was a suckers rally, maybe I'd believe that it was we hit the bottom or we were close to it. Everyone seems to believe we hit the bottom, and I have reason to believe we have not. And I mean, in my bigger picture, my idea of what's going to happen is maybe, looking at this Fibonacci level right here, Could potentially even revisit down here, 12, so 13K-ish around. Not really sure that's going to happen. Depends on the event, the capitulation event that's inevitably going to happen. Is it going to be focused on crypto, which could create more downside, or is it going to be a macro economic event? Which, if it's one of those, we'd probably see maybe the 3618, probably the 2618, and that could potentially be the bottom. As we've seen before, suckers rallies, and the life being sucked out of everyone, and then everyone saying we broke previous lows, or as we all remember at the top, when we broke the previous highs, and everyone was saying previous all-time high was broken, going to 80K, 100K, all those crazy price predictions. So let's zoom back in a little bit. Look at what's next in the shorter term. So I do have this liquidity pool marked off, which I might have to start extending, but this is something that is likely to be revisited and will probably blow right through it at this point because of how far away we are. But it'll be something that will give us trouble as a liquidity pool, so we might get a little bounce. But we could potentially, this is a level that's not marked from the Fibonacci, we could potentially do a little bounce off, confirmation off of that for more downside. And as you can see, I've been watching this bearish pattern play out, which everyone was expecting it to play out. And we got shaken out along with everyone else. It's not a huge deal. I'm on to the next trade. That's all you really can do. So let's see, from the top of that move that we bounced off of, that could very potentially be the top. We may revisit it again. But so we're coming down, and the golden pocket for a pullback at this point would be down here. And if we were to break out, I hate messing with these fibs, but let's go ahead and flip it. The bottom there, so turn it into a bullish fib. There's the top. So we're hitting the golden pocket now for bullish pressure. So a lot of people might be watching this. And look, a lot of people might be watching this and saying 20K, 21K. Is it possible? Most definitely. Now this doesn't really line up with my levels, which typically on big moves it does. But as you can see here, we do have one level that it does match up with, which seems to be very important. So could we potentially break out and do a bear trap, bull trap, and a downside? We could potentially do that. The technical price move of this pattern from a potential breakout, say up here, is perfectly lined up with that. So will that happen? Not saying it will. It all depends on what happens in the markets. As you can see, let's go down to the 5-minute. I do watch the 5-minute a lot more to train myself to see these things unfold so I don't get fooled. And as we can see, we're finding perfect support on this level, which a lot of people are probably watching. We could have buyers step in here and have another move up. And what this move does will tell us exactly what's happening in this move. If we come up and we break this high, I think, and then we come back down, I think it's a good chance that's the fake out to the upside. If we come up and we break it and we bust through it, and then we come down and maybe retest over here showing strength, and it's just a couple wicks, maybe bounce off this previous high level, then we're definitely in play for at least 19K Bitcoin, 18.9. And will I be trading any of these? It's tough for me to say right now, mainly because I kind of took a loss, so I have to take a step back. I put about 10% on my account. I opened a couple extra trades when a couple more got stopped out because a couple of them were still open. So I did take a bigger loss than I probably should have and than I want to. So I need to take a step back and see what's happening here. As you can see, the shorter time frames, they don't tell a lot on the story. I don't know what this gap is about. I'm not really sure. But if it is a real gap, we will fill it right now, and then we'll continue to upside and bounce off of this level that I have coming up here. So all in all, I just wanted to make this video to put myself out there and to put my ideas out there so they're documented. So for myself, for you guys, for whoever's watching, so I can look back and see, I saw that coming, I did this wrong, I saw this coming but I didn't follow my plan, whatever. It's almost like a journal. So I'll go through, and the last thing we're going to look at is the DXY. This is my biggest thing that I look at besides the Bitcoin price to tell us a little bit of the story on the Bitcoin price. So if we look back, this could be a perfect retest of resistance. As you can see, I'm not going to draw this one out, but we did perfectly bounce off of it, and we could see downside to this bottom trend line, which is this very strong trend line. If we look, this is a bullish pattern in a bigger picture bullish price action. As you can see, we're at the bottom of this huge trend line, which I just noticed. I hadn't even seen it, but I'm not saying we're gonna go up to 120, 130, but the short term, that is a bullish pattern that we could definitely break out and retest or break these previous highs at 114. So shorter picture, zoom in, as you can see, looking pretty bearish. If you're looking at it from this standpoint, we still have room to go down, which means Bitcoin does still have room to go up. So we'll pull up Bitcoin, pull up this chart again. As you can see, there is a pool of liquidity up here, and we could even stay within this pattern and trap traders to the upside, because I think a lot of people also have this drawn differently, but most likely this move will happen within the next day because of the FOMC meeting tomorrow, and with good news on the horizon, we'll potentially see a lot of upside. So this seems to be a setup for this news event, and the DXY is telling more of the story right now. It's perfectly been bouncing within this trend line, and as you can see, we're showing a little strength into the huge resistance that we did just find. Look at the shorter time frame, little bullish move and overall bearish price action. So what we're looking for is a move back down here where we could potentially be looking at the price of Bitcoin, and from there we'll decide, are we going to get in long positions, short positions. We'll set our next move from there. Till next time, see ya.